Hi guys. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to graph um, using an equation. So this is the lesson we talked about on Friday, and this is part of your homework today / yesterday. I got a few emails basically asking how to do the last part, and also some of you guys, I feel like maybe forgot a little bit how to graph, and that's okay because we did that a while ago last semester. So let's just review a little bit what we talked about on Friday. We now know that we can create an input and output table by basically coming up with any value for x to plug into our equation and come up with what y would be. So you could come up with any value for x, put it in place of the equation, and find out what y is. And the few numbers that we classically like to use are at least one negative number, a 0, and a positive, or two positives, right? So normally when we did this in class, we did -1, 0, 1, and 2. In this case, we only need to put three numbers. So I'm going to do -2, 0, and +2 for most of them and just see what comes up here, okay? The reason why is because when you are plotting on your chart, I want my plots to kind of expand across the graph into the negatives and the positives, not just staying in one coordinate, right? If I just have a few points like 1, 2, 3 right here, that doesn't really give me as good of a picture as if I saw the line kind of spreading across the whole entire graph. So there's no right or wrong number to put in, but as you do this, you'll kind of realize there's certain numbers that just work better when you're graphing than others. So we're going to plug in our equation, y equals 2 times -2 plus 5. So 2 times -2 is -4. -4 plus 5 is 1. So that's y. Y is 1. Now, they didn't give us a space just to put y. They had us put the x and y coordinate ordered pairs. So since I input -2 for x, then the x would be -2 here. And this is my ordered pair. So this ordered pair now becomes a point I can put on my graph. I'm going to do all of these first, and then we'll graph them. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 times 0 minus 5. So 0 minus 5 is -5. And so y is -5. And x is 0. And then we have 2 times 2 minus 5. So 4 minus 5 is -1. So this will be -1. And the input is 2. The x is 2. Okay, so these are my points, -2 and 1. So let's talk about how to graph this. When I get to my chart, remember the horizontal line is your x-axis and the vertical line is your y-axis. So the origin, it means where they cross over, that's 0. 0 on the x and 0 on the y. Think of x as a number line where 0 is right here, going to the left is negative numbers consecutively getting bigger, and then to the right are positive numbers. Now, then on the y, going up is positive and going down is negative. So if the point is at -2, 1, then I'm going to count to the left 2 to get to -2 on the x. 1, 2, and then +1 means I go up. So this is where one of my points are. And then I have 0, -5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be right here. And then I have 2, -1. So 1, 2, -1. Okay, when I look at this, something doesn't quite make sense. I have a point here, a point here, and a point here. So that means I think our -2, let's see, -2, 1, 2, -1. Okay, so when I look at this, something doesn't quite make sense because this does not create a line. Now, a linear equation has to create a straight line. That just, straight line, not a curvy line, right? So I must go back and check to see if I did something wrong. When I'm checking, I'm just going to go back and look at each one. This is -4 plus 5. That would be 1. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 5 is -5. And then 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus, oh, okay. So I realized I'm looking and I wrote subtraction instead of addition. So that means should be addition and this should be a 9, a positive 9. Okay, so this was a good example for us to see that when you're plotting your points, don't just trust what you're putting down if it doesn't look right. This is the beauty of linear equations, is when you plot them, your picture that comes out should have some order and should make sense. If it doesn't, then you know you did something wrong. So I'm now going to go back and change my points. So I think this point was off and this point was off. Oop. Don't want to erase that. I want to erase this little point here. Where is that? There it is. Okay. So I have 2, let's see, 0, positive 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2, positive 9, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So just remember, and I'm going to put the little points here so you can see, 2 on the X and then going up to 9 on the Y, 0 on the X, going up 5 on the Y. So that's 0, 5, and then we talked through this one already. Okay, so once you have this, now you're going to connect your dots. Now, if your dots were really close together, that's totally fine, right? You maybe didn't put -2, 0, and 2. Maybe you put -1, 0, and 1, or maybe you put 1, 2, 3, right? So here's the deal with this, because for the picture to work out, you need to extend this line all the way. Now, I don't have a straight edge, so my line's not going to look as great as yours, but you need to get a ruler out and connect all these dots and then extend the line out so it's a straight line. Okay, so once you've drawn the line, you can go up here and cross off number 1. You've done it, you've done the line. Okay, now 2, 3, and 4 are pretty straightforward, same thing as what I did here. I'm going to talk about number 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, you haven't really seen an equation like this, right? We haven't really talked about it, and I didn't really have time to go over this in class, but essentially, when you have X equals a number, what that is saying is that without a doubt, your X value has to be that number. So that means 8 is going to go into all the X positions here for my ordered pair. And then if I look here, number 6 says X equals -8. That means without a doubt, all my X's here have to be -8. So I'm going to put -8 there for all of them. This says Y equals 8. So what do you think that means? If you said that means Y is 8, then you're right. So all my Y values have to be 8. So the question is, well, what do the other values have to be, right? Well, they can be anything you want. You can put 1, you can put 0, you can put 5. You can literally put whatever value you want on your Y if it's not specified. So there is no explanation or description of what your Y value has to be. It just says your input is X. It doesn't say you have an output of Y is something. So it can be whatever you want. So going up, let's plot these points. It's 8, 1, 8, 0, and 8, 5. So let's go to our graph. Your X is at 8. So I'm going to count over to where positive 8 is on my X-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right here. 8, 0, right? 8, 1, I think, and 8, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you notice about all these dots? They are a straight line going vertically, right? So when you plot your line, and it's kind of hard for me to draw a straight line, but basically whatever input or whatever Y value comes out that you put in for your graph, it's going to be a straight line no matter what. As long as it goes through the X value of 8, then you're good and it's vertical. Okay, let's talk about number 7. So number 7, the Y value is 8 and X can be anything you want. So I could say 0, 5, -4. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my chart. The y value is 8, which means I have to go up to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I've got 0, 8, or 8, yeah, 0, 8, 0, 5, or let's see, what did I say? 5, 8. So that means that my y value has to be 8, but I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here going up. So 5, 8. And then negative 4, 8. So going to the negative on the x, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. Going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What do you notice about all these points? Well, that's a horizontal line. So basically what that's saying is your line has to go through positive 8 on the y value, and the x values can be anything you want, right? So what you see is that you actually create a horizontal line. So the questions here say, what do the graphed lines in number 1 and number 2 have in common? Well, you're going to have to take a look at that and decide what you see. And then number 10, what is the slope of the line in 7, 6, and 7? So you've got to decide. Well, actually, we haven't talked about slope yet. That's coming up. So don't worry about this problem. And then just kind of take a look at number 9 and see if you can notice anything in common and describe it. Okay, so your graph, you're going to end up creating some sort of picture. It's going to look, don't have a great, line here. I can't draw a straight edge, but it's going to look something like, I think, maybe something like this. And this is not, definitely a very rough sketch, but you're going to see something like this on your picture that you graph. And you are going to color these spaces in and create a little stained glass window. So imagine a pretty stained glass window here, and you're going to maybe color this part yellow, maybe this part yellow, and then you're going to color the other parts. So you're going to just make your own little design. So see how this kind of starts to look like a stained glass window. Maybe some pink here, and maybe I'm going to just color it like this, and then like this. So you can add patterns, you can do whatever you want, but there is your stained glass window. So that's what your final picture should look like. All right, hopefully that helps a little bit.